least for me, trying to be a devotee, that sometimes we have desires that we just feel in our heart, isn't it? Oh, I'd like to do that. I'd like to do that. And so many times we find Krishna fulfills it, isn't it? Now, of course, Krishna was fulfilled in a very interesting way. First of all, it wasn't necessarily fulfilled immediately. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you have a desire and it's fulfilled immediately. Where was I when that just happened? Oh, I was at Radhadesh. And I was having lunch, and there was a little teeny tiny bit of a sweet on my plate. And I was thinking, I wish I could have a whole sweet. And that moment somebody knocked on the door and gave me a piece of perfume. So sometimes it's immediate. Sometimes it's astonishingly immediate. And other times it's years or decades or, you know. And sometimes you look, it's happened to me recently, I look back and I thought, oh, this thing I have now, I wanted that, 30 years ago. And Krishna was bringing me step by step by step. So sometimes it's delayed. And then it's also interesting how Krishna fulfilled this desire. He filled this desire by becoming their sons. And they didn't know. They didn't know. They couldn't understand. So they became fully satisfied, but on just the intellectual platform. They didn't understand. Krishna's becoming son. Nobody understood, even who didn't understand. Balaram didn't even understand. And then in the next few verses, it explains some of the reasons why you would think people would understand. It's explained that I don't want to steal the thunder from the people giving class the next couple of days, but just to mention briefly, it's explained that the mothers and the fathers' love for their sons became just like their love for Krishna. Because they always loved Krishna a little bit more. But nobody noticed. Nobody noticed. And then it says that they loved all the children equally. And nobody does that. I mean, I have children, and I've taken care of hundreds of other children, but my affection for my own children is always a little different than my affection for other people's children. Even if those other people's children lived in my house and went to my school, they could be almost like my children, never exactly. But the mothers and fathers had exactly the same affection for all the children, all the little boys. So that was also a little odd. They weren't discriminating anymore. And then as we go on several verses later, where the cowherd men were just overwhelmed with affection, of course, then Balaram noticed. And another interesting thing that happened that was different. So we had a few things that were different. That the love of the mothers for their children was greater. Remember we were saying 2 days ago how Krishna was exactly like all these jivas? But it wasn't exactly. It wasn't exactly. Because the love between these copy sons and the parents was greater. It wasn't exactly. And also the parents had this feeling of equal affection. And there was another thing that was different, and that was that generally when the cowherd boys came home from the pasturing grounds, like you were reading about, they're coming home, what was the first thing they did when they came home every day? They said something. What did they say? First thing when they came back to the village.
They told about Krishna's pastimes.
Yes, they said, guess what Krishna did today? And this whole year they never did that. They just stopped. So every single day they had always said, hey, guess what Krishna did today? And the next day, guess what Krishna did today? And all of a sudden they just stopped doing that. And nobody noticed. Nobody noticed. And then after a year, they came home and said, guess what Krishna did today? And then what did they say he did? Killed Aghasura, although that was a year previously. So there were these slight differences. But basically, the parents thought, these are my same child. Because other than those things, Krishna perfectly copied. We were talking about the individual characteristics of a jiva. He perfectly copied all the individual characteristics. So although the parents were having their desires fulfilled, to have Krishna as their son, it was in a way that they almost weren't externally aware of that. They simply felt, I'm completely satisfied. All of my desires are fulfilled. Somehow or other, my desire to give Krishna motherly affection, to give Krishna fatherly affection, I now feel that that's satisfied. They didn't understand how they felt it was satisfied, or why they felt it was satisfied. They just felt it was satisfied. So Krishna often fulfills our desires in that way, that we're not necessarily aware of how he's doing it. We just think, oh, that desire's gone. It's satisfied. It's fulfilled. How did it get fulfilled? We don't even know. We don't even know. And why did Krishna do it this way? He was also, it says here, that he was enjoying having this relationship with all the mothers and fathers. And interestingly, as we mentioned a couple days ago, he was enjoying having this relationship not as Krishna. He was enjoying having the relationship as if he were Sudama, as if he were Sridhama. He was enjoying experiencing the individual characteristics of his devotees. And having them, because each mother and child, each father and child, is going to have a slightly different relationship than every other parent and child, because they're different people. And he's enjoying that specific relationship. So Krishna himself has a particular, Krishna already has this, so both going on. Krishna, as apparently Mother Yasoda's son, is having a particular relationship with Sri Dam's mother. It's like she's kind of like his auntie. And then he's also, in addition to that, having a relationship with Sri Dam's mother as Sri Dam. So he's increasing the variety of what he's enjoying. And here, this reciprocation, the devotees are offering things to Krishna, and Krishna is offering things to the devotees. And when we take what Krishna offers to us, the revelations of his pastimes, the food stuff that he's tasted, the beauty of his form, the exquisite detail and logic of his philosophy, we take this like it's just as sweet as nectar. It gives us life. But Krishna also takes our service like that. Krishna takes our service like that. Breast milk is not some super high-class food. But Krishna is taking like that. He's taking as if it's the highest nectar. Just like Patram Pushpam Palam Tayam Yome Bhakti Prachiti Tadaham Bhakti Paritam Ashnami Prayatat. Just a flower or a little water, a leaf even. Of course, this specifically refers to tulsi leaves, but also leaves. We're decorating the deities with flowers and leaves. And Krishna is accepting it as if it's the most wonderful offering. My daughter-in-law's father told me the story of when his son was 6, that he came and said, Daddy, here's a stick. And Govardhan was telling me how he felt such overwhelming love for his son, just receiving this stick. So what we offer to Krishna is insignificant, but Krishna is taking it as very wonderful. And the devotee takes whatever Krishna gives as very wonderful.